Hello, my name is Daryl Tisdale, and I want to share a story about my family. I'll start back in the beginning. I met a woman named Monica. We hit it off very, very well. We dated for about 6 months. And then I decided to propose to her. She said yes. And that was one of the happiest moments of my life. We had a small wedding, family and friends. And then I started preparing the future, working 2 jobs at the time while she was working one. And eventually, we saved enough money to put a down payment on a house. We found a nice colonial house, perfect for us, with a master bedroom and 2 other smaller bedrooms. And it was slightly furnished. I don't know what happened. I guess the previous owner decided he did not want anything because he left a colossal bookshelf with books. It was a little dusty. We had just dust everything off, but it had several books. I said, I wonder why he didn't want to take those. But anyhow, my wife and I wanted to have a child. But she had difficulties maintaining the pregnancy, and she had a couple of miscarriages. During that period of time, I developed a small business, and it was starting to progress. We decided to try IVF because she really wanted to be a mother. Within a year, my business is booming and my wife is pregnant again. And I was kind of nervous. So I wanted to be home more to take care of her. So within 9 months, we finally had a baby boy. And wondering what I'm going to name him, Monica said, "How about James?" And I looked at her, why that name? She said, because she'd been praying with her Bible, the New King James Version. So James will be suitable. So I agreed. And so James Tisdale was the name bestowed upon my baby boy. He brought me so much joy. So much joy. He was a lively child, curious, always getting into anything. And as he grew up, he just had a fondness of messing around with those books. I said, you don't know how to read those. He said, I'm going to learn. But he was always fascinated with those books. And growing up, he loved sports. Basketball, football. He loved sports. He's a very active child and very intelligent. But he always goes back to those books. Just going through all these books, and I don't know what he's doing. Possibly reading them. But he's getting older now. My company is very successful. But I'm having problems with Monica. She wants more attention. She said, you give me less attention than you give your job and your son. And I said, look, I'm trying to make this household much better than what we can achieve right now. I mean, you stop working. I'm doing everything right now. So what are you complaining about? And usually we had arguments like that. My son, he was the only thing I really, truly enjoyed when I come home. So much energy. He greets me to the door. With so much energy, so much vibrant. I love that boy. So upon his 18th birthday, I got him a car. He knew how to drive. I taught him. And he was so astonished about having a car of his own. And I looked him deep in his eyes and I said, I've been wanting to have a son for a long time. You are the greatest gift I ever had. You make me proud. And I love you. Always. As a little small tear was coming down my eyes, I know he was starting to cry also. And we hugged each other. Father and son, our connection is complete. So, it was one particular day. My son was out with his friends. He took the car. And me and my wife were arguing as usual over something petty. Getting kind of sick of all this arguing. I did not get married to be arguing all the time. I wanted to get married for love and to have a family. I mean, at the time she was working and I was working and we shared responsibilities, but now I'm doing everything just because I own a company. So I said a few choice words, which I kind of regret saying, but something had to be said. Then the phone rang. Who the hell is this? It's like nighttime. So as I pick up the phone, I answered it. There was a police sergeant that says, my son was in a car accident. I nearly dropped the phone. What happened? It says, my son was driving through a green light And on his driver's side, a stolen vehicle jackknifed and hit him in the driver's side. Is he okay? No, sir. Your son was killed instantly because the man was speeding over 100 miles an hour trying to evade the police. My heart was shattered. I couldn't believe that my only son was killed by some asshole. My only son. My wife looked at me and said, "What's going on?" And I told her what happened. And then all she arguing me about, "I told you not to get that boy no car." I said, "It wasn't his fault. He got hit by a stolen car, evading the police. So shut up." Can't believe this. Can't believe this. So eventually we went down to the morgue, identified the body. Preparing funerals, a wake. I wasn't into it. I could not believe my only son is gone. My beautiful, intelligent, athletic son is gone. The wake. People said their goodbyes. But the funeral was a torrential downfall of attitudes and sorrow. I never cried so hard in my life. My wife and I became very distant. I couldn't even touch her anymore. Eventually, we slept in different beds. In my depressionary state, I was losing track on things with my business. I just can't believe my only son is gone. I find myself not able to cope with things anymore. Sometimes I find myself not even coming home at a decent time. Why should I come home? I got a wife that all of a sudden don't love me anymore. Always want to argue. My business is crumbling. People are wondering what's going on with me. I don't know. Then eventually, my wife, all of a sudden, present me with divorce papers. I was shocked. I said, "Why?" And she says, because I don't love you anymore. Divorce papers. Couldn't go to a marriage counselor. You went to a divorce lawyer. I mean, what do you want? My damn business is going down the crapper. She just said, I just want the house. We bought that house together. You're not going to take this house. We bought that house together. So we went through a long legal struggle. Really, we had no children. I just had the company. I had to pay alimony. But she can't have the house. No. But she didn't want to be there no more, so she moved out. Fine. So I'm in a lonely house by myself. I'm about to lose my business. I owed several $1,000s. I didn't even care no more. I didn't care no more. Because one time, I'm in the house, just contemplating, sitting on my lazy boy, when I felt a hand touch me on my shoulder. At first I was shocked. I was, what the hell? And something whispered in my ear, Dad. Dad. And I'm like, James? James, is that you? And a gentle brush of a hand went on my other shoulder. Dad, follow me. So it kind of guided me towards the bookshelf. And I'm walking, and I can almost see like a slight glimpse of a figure over by the bookshelf. James, what? It pulled out one book on the second half shelf. It just left it out. The only book. And I took the book. It didn't feel right. So I opened up the book. It was one of those stowaway books. You can hide money and stuff like that. So I opened it up and saw a little pouch inside the book. I said, what the hell is this? I opened up the pouch, and there were several small diamonds in the book. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they look legitimate. I hope they're real. And if they're worth as much as I think they're worth, I could be able to save my business. So, the next day, I took them to a jeweler, and he praised them. and says, you have about $2.5 million in diamonds. I was flabbergasted. And I always wondered why my son was so involved in those books. I didn't know who the previous owner was. I didn't know if he was just hiring up because he was a crook or whatever. But they were unclaimed, and no one tried to look for them. So using the sale of those diamonds, I saved my business. I want to thank James for helping me from beyond where he's at. Helping me to be a better businessman, because I had employees that, they needed work. They needed to support their families. But once my bills were paid, I can get more inventory. My business grew and grew. I'm now dating another woman, taking things slow. But every now and then, I get a pat on the shoulder and just look up and says, "Thank you, James. Thank you so much." And I hear in my ear, "I love you, Dad." Thank you for sharing the story. And God bless.